First question. Want to say thank you. Yeah, you appreciate it. And any comment on duality would be helpful. On duality. When anyone answers a question, it's very important that he has to define certain terms right, because the way you define duality could be completely different from my definition of duality. So assuming I'm using my definition of duality, which may be incongruent with yours, so duality, I think, if I put it very simply, say you have love and hatred, you're living in a world of love and hatred, rich and poor, and beautiful and ugly. You always want a contrast. Whenever we talk about a duality, we always have a conflict in conceptualization. That's the world we're living in. A dualistic conception of life. This guy is ugly. Oh, this woman is beautiful. That guy is rich. This guy is poor. I hate him, but I loved him. So you always live in a world of dualistic conceptualization of everything that your senses interact with. When I talk about senses, duality is created out of the senses. Your eyes, your ears, your nose, your tongue, your body, your touch. All these are the front-end salesmen that help you to be dualistic. When you have this biased salesman and sales ladies, all your senses, I call it the five senses are the biased salesmen of your body company. I always imagine my body is an organization, is a company. In my company, I always have salesmen at the front end. And then in my office, I always have a manager. And that manager manages all the salesmen. And that manager, I call it Mano. Mano is the manager, that control. And that Mano is the six senses. We have the five senses, right? With the five senses, eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, five senses. And then there's another sixth sense, which is the Mano. We call him the Mano manager. He controls all the salesmen. He controls the existing salesmen. And whenever the salesmen are in contact with customers, they want to make sure that the salesmen know what to do. The salesmen, they don't have any time to dig into old files because they're so busy with their senses interacting with the outside world. They're always interacting, non-stop interacting. But they're biased though. They're interacting. And then they're waiting for Mano to make the decision. Mano always go back to the office and stick up the archive files. Whenever a customer comes up and the salesman talk about it, and this Mano is always digging from the old file to say, oh, this customer, Mr. A, oh yeah, he's the guy who can easily be cheated. And this is the guy who bought a certain number of things from me and he's continued to buy. Oh, maybe I'll treat him fair this time. This Mano is always making the decisions to manipulate all these salesmen. The salesman can't make any decisions. They only promote, they only interact. Those are your eyes, your ears, your nose, your tongue, your body touch. But you've got that Mano in you that exercise all this judgment, that exercise all this dualistic conceptualization. This guy, yeah, we take him. This guy, we don't take him. Last time he didn't clear this bill yet, and he's coming for a second round of products from us. Let's get even with him. Okay, he ordered 100,000 units. We'll give him only 90,000. We'll get even with him, we cheat him 10,000. So this Mano is always making all this decision taking from the old files, because Mano has the right to go back to history. Mano has the right to analyze. Mano has the right to make all this judgment on people. And this Mano is nothing but yourself. That Mano is in you. You have that Mano in you that's making all this dualistic conceptualization. Mano is always biased, you know. Because Mano is always working for the company. His aim is to increase profit of the company so that he get the right bonus. So he only wants to increase the company's profit. He doesn't really care. He cares when the quality of the salesman is not good and he raises the quality. He cares, but he only cares about making money for the company. Egoistic. He's always egoist, individualistic. So any comment on duality would be helpful. I don't know where should I stop on telling you this answer, because I can go on and on and on and on. But maybe we shouldn't stop at Mano. There's another controller in you, and that's called Manas. One is Mano and the other is Manas. Manas, it's the director. Manas, he doesn't really care about the routines. He don't care what kind of salesman and sales lady Mano hire. He just cared about, the directors only care about the profit, whether his stock will go up. It's a publicly listed company. He wants to make sure that the stock will go up all the time. He's the director of the company. He's very egoistic. So we also call Manas the ego. Do you have the ego in you? That's the Manas in you. The director. Manas is the director. You got that? He's even more dualistic because he only considers his own ego. He doesn't even care about the salesman because that's the job of the Mano. That's what we call the seventh consciousness. That's in you. We got the sixth, now we got the seventh, which is Manas. Should we stop at that? No, we should carry on. So we got Mano and we got Manas. And then we still have the eighth consciousness in you. This eighth consciousness is very profound. He's with you since eons ago. Does not matter whether you change your form. You change your form in every life. You're Jack in this form, you're Jeanette in the next form, and you probably is Bill on your third reincarnation. We've been reincarnated. We've been changing forms. And this eighth consciousness is always with you. When you passed away, Mano is dead. The manager is dead. The sixth consciousness is dead. When you passed away, Manas, the director, shrink into that board of directors, hibernate. He's still the director. You can fire the sales manager anytime. But the director is always there. But when you die, the director just shrink into that board of directors and hide in there. That's your ego. And that whole board of director that contains all the directors, that contains on all the archives, that contains all the past history, get rolled into the next life. And that's your eighth consciousness. And there's a name for that thing. I don't know how you call it, because it's not a thing anymore. And we call it alaya consciousness. Alaya. What does alaya means? Alaya means storage, the banking consciousness. Because whatever, anything that is done in the company, it gets stored in there. Everything the salesmen do, everything the Mano do, everything the Manas do, it got stored into that alaya consciousness. It won't get away, it won't go away. Because it continues to receive. It does not discriminate. Whether the company lose, whether the company make profit, whatever, all this, the history of the company gets stored in that alaya consciousness. That's the reason why you've been keeping your karma all the way through. Where did you store your karma? In alaya consciousness. So when you passed away, when I passed away, everything is gone. No more salesmen, no more eyes. You still can keep your eyes when you passed away? You still can keep your ears when you passed away? Some people will say, my eyes are so beautiful, that's why my husband loved me. Only for this life. And when you pluck out your eyes and give it to your husband will say, yucky, throw it away. So that alaya consciousness have been reincarnating and reincarnating. I want to stop here because I only should comment on duality and not consciousness. But I would like to tell you that mano and that manas is always working on your duality. You're discriminating. You're always judging. You're always conceptualizing. How does meditation help you? Meditation helps you to put your mano in the right place, to put your manager in the right place, in the right position, to put your manas in the right place. You first learned how to control your salesman. The first step in meditation is to how you control your salesman. Because your salesmen are making all these problems for you. Your eyes love to see things. Your ears love to hear certain things. Your ears love to hear praises and not criticism. Your eyes love to see anything that is beautiful and sexy. Your eyes don't like to see ugly things. Your tongue always like to taste the flesh and blood of animals. Don't say yucky. That's what you've been doing. You've been cutting the sirloin steak, and then the barbecue pork, lobsters, crabs. You're killing animals for food. You don't know about it. Your taste like to taste the blood and flesh of the animals. It's just somebody else did it for you. Try to visit some of the slaughterhouses for the chicken. How do they treat the chickens in the poultry slaughterhouses? They threw these animals around. They step on them. Next question. How can I make the world around me better? Why don't you first learn how to make yourself better? I heard a very interesting story from Ajahn Brahm, which I think is very, very good story. He said he was living in a forest tradition, in a hut, meditating. And the monks were doing the construction themselves, so they built up huts so that they can meditate in those huts in the forest tradition. And the monks went around buying bricks, and they built up these walls. And Ajahn Brahm, according to the story that he told us, that he was told to build a wall, and he was building a wall. And being a non-professional in bricklaying, he couldn't do a good job. He tried his best to lay bricks around, and surprisingly, it was a pretty good job. He finished it, except for 2 bricks in the center where it was twisted and, terrible. So he had been, every day when he was meditating, he felt proud because everybody said the wall is good. He felt proud. But when he looked at those 2 bricks, he felt disgusting about himself, not be able to do a good job. The 2 bricks spoiled everything. And then one day, his master came up to him. Probably his master knew how he felt inside. And his master started to talk to him. But he couldn't get it all right. And until one visitor one day came to visit the hut from a foreign country, a meditator. And the visitor praised the wall. It was so good, a wonderful wall. Are you a professional? No, I'm not a professional. And look at the center. There are 2 bricks there which were terrible. And that monk who was a visitor said, how come you always look at those 2 bricks and not the whole wall? You're always looking at the faulty things around you. The whole wall, 99% is almost perfect, and you didn't know about it. You didn't appreciate the value of that perfection. And you look at those 2 bricks which are faultily laid. Suddenly he got a realization. Yeah, how come I always look for faults? How come I always look for the whole world with faults? Be satisfied with yourself. Appreciate the value in yourself. Appreciate the value surrounding you. a lot of value surrounding you that you should appreciate, and not just finding faults around you, criticizing all the others. Everything is at war with you. Love your environment. And if you find fault with the environment, try to improve it by improving yourself. I have seen guys who came up to a room and say, how come this room is so smoky? And yet, he's a chain smoker himself. Next, what is nirvana? Can it be explained? Yeah, maybe half a semester. Yes. Yeah, it's nirvana. Usually it's 1 semester for nirvana. So I'm only up to the level of a tutor. 1 semester for nirvana. If I can simplify it by saying, nirvana means extinction. No more life and death. No more duality. No more this is right, this is wrong. No more of that. No more high, low, rich, poor, love, hatred. None of that exists anymore. You extinct all your mental afflictions. No more mental afflictions. Everything of those come to an end. No more. Nirvana is no more. Nothing. No more. Why don't we put it this way? Nirvana is no more. In you want to look for more. You have more and you want to look for more. The more you look for, the more freedom you lost, and the more mental afflictions you have. What happened to the person who tries their absolute best to understand the teaching of the Buddha and spend their life helping others, but is simply unable to have the teaching take root in their minds? I think what it says is, you try to help others, and how come you don't come to a realization, or you help others, how come you meet difficulties? Is karma. The fact that you are practicing in this life, you try to improve this life, you still suffer from a bad life, you're burning away your old karma. I have seen people who have been very generous, and they get poorer and poorer and poorer. Don't think that, oh, I'm generous and I send that's the reason why I get poor. Because a lot of these things, the maturity of karmic energy depends on the timing. If this person in this life is so stingy, he's a miser, but he had a lot of money. He is so rich, he's a multi-billionaire, but he is not generous at all. He's always economical in everything. He's not doing any helpful generosity, helping others, but he's extremely rich. Probably in his previous life, he had been generously donating, germinating causes for being rich in this life. Whereas in this life, all the bad deeds they have done in not being generous, that will be realized in the next life. So the maturity of karma, karmic energy, has different timing. So whatever you have done right in this life, and yet misfortunes come up, don't get discouraged. It's just to burn away the old karma. Because everything comes in a certain timing. You're growing 2 trees. One is apple and the other is pear. Apple may mature in 2 years, pear maybe in 5 years. Grapes maybe in 2 years, whereas others mature in different time. Don't kill the apple tree yet. Oh, this apple I planted last year and I couldn't find any apples. I'm going to chop it off and I'm going to replace it with a grape tree. Then you're always chopping trees off because they mature at a different time. But you try, you keep on trying. If your family members, no matter how you talk to him, he's still so obstinate in not believing in the Buddhist teaching. He's so obstinate in staying on his pursuit for sensual pleasures. He don't care. He said, I want to look for right now sensual pleasure, sense satisfaction. He couldn't change. Don't get discouraged. The timing has not yet come for him. Sometime in the future, the time will make sure that he may even be more fervent than you in following the Buddhist teaching. You just keep on trying. Keep on trying and trying and trying. Is the ultimate goal of meditation to empty the mind completely? It's not just to empty the mind. If you are trying to empty the mind, you still have something to look for. That is the emptiness of the mind. If you have something to look for, that's not the ultimate. The ultimate would gradually come when you have nothing to look for. Even the Buddha you have to throw away. No trace of anything. But you need it before you throw away everything. You need it, and when you come to the ultimate, you don't need it. We call it Buddhism. When it comes to the ultimate perfect rounding, the round, perfection, you don't need Buddhism. When you arrive at Victoria, do you still hang onto the boat? I don't want to leave the boat. Now it's Victoria, I don't want to leave. Can you go to the Parliament building? Can you step ashore? You got to leave it. But you say, I don't leave the boat, then how can you go? How can you sail?
The question I was actually asking was, if someone who dedicates their life to Buddhism, but they still can't seem to understand the teachings as well as, say, someone else, would you say that they're more, they're less accomplished than the person who understands the teachings but doesn't put in as much effort, or?
Well, you're comparing. I mean, everybody has a different karma. The fact that they understand it more, probably learned in their previous life, their latent energy is stronger in the previous life than it took. The maturity of understanding it comes up now. But you haven't germinated, you haven't cultivated that kind of energy in the previous life. Now, then you started to cultivate it. And who knows, maybe after you cultivate it, after you found a path, you'll be able to walk faster than them. It depends on you. Don't discourage yourself. They already walk 1 mile and you just start your first step. But after you stride out that first step, you continuously walking and you could arrive at the destination much faster. So don't get discouraged and don't compare that. Just continue to walk and walk and walk. It's just the turtle and the rabbit. The rabbit goes much faster now. So don't judge on that kind of timing. As long as you can carry on. And Buddhism does not even help you in your spiritual life. It helps you in your present life. It gives you more focus, more confidence in yourself. Because Buddhism is the study of the mind. It reinforces and strengthens the mind. It tells you how strong your mind is. It tells you how to make your mind stronger in doing anything. So there's a saying in Zen Buddhism, whatever the mind can conceive, the mind can do. So if you conceive that you can be much faster, if you conceive that you can be now, I would say, I'm dropped out at university. I'm good for nothing. Don't give it up. Bill Gates dropped out at second year, first year, second year. There's a lot of dropout from universities. Einstein is dropped out and became one of the most famous scientists in the world. What's the purpose of studying Buddhism? If we can use a modern approach to Buddhism, it contains at least 2 perspectives in time. The one is the present perspective, and the other is the future. Most motive study concerns for the present, or maybe, yes, a future of this life. But Buddhism concerns the future, timeless future. So the study of Buddhism in this present life is to improve your life, your present life. Make it more intelligent, make it more consistent, make it more confident. That's the present life. In the future, it helps you to get away from life and death. No more changing your form into another life, go another round of suffering. Get away, detach yourself, emancipate yourself from the cocoon of suffering. But we're now like a caterpillar with a cocoon. We spin our own thread around us. And Buddhism is to help you to bite out from the cocoon and fly. And don't be bound by whatever is in there. Right now, you could be bound in your world with the threads of cocoon. But Buddhism helps you, not only the present caterpillar living a good life within the cocoon, It also helps you to bite out away a hole in the cocoon, to go into the Pure Land, to go into emancipation, to go into nirvana, we call it. We just have that question, you call it nirvana. Okay, so don't worry about the chicken scroll. Okay, yeah?
We don't want to come back to life to suffer anymore. That's why we believe in Buddhism. Isn't that still a desire?
Yes, you got to have desire, don't get me wrong. Depends on what kind of desire. There's two kinds of desire. Desire for material acquisition and desire to be a saint. Nobody can be successful without any desire. You got to have desire. Desire is a word, another definition for motive. If you don't have a destination, if you don't have an objective, how can you achieve anything? Why don't you turn that word desire into another word we call objective? Do you need an objective to study Buddhism? Right? You want to get away from life and death. That's a desire. Some people call it motive, some people call it intention, and some people call it desire. You desire to be a Buddha. You desire to get away from life and death. That's a good desire. That's a good motive. That's good intention. But there are others who have intentions like this. They desire to be famous. They desire to get more money. They desire to have a Shaughnessy house. They desire to have a Ferrari. They desire to have the richest and the most handsome husband, or somebody desire to have the most beautiful wife. All those desires are acquisition of material satisfaction. But your desire is a saintly desire. You want to get away from those. You want to have that joy, that bliss that will be away from suffering. It's a different desire. You must have desire to be a Buddha. Don't eliminate desire. The elimination of desire is as bad as having desire. It has the wrong desires. All right, you get it right now? Okay, any question? No more question? All right, okay, let's end the day.